Hello, YouTube family. It's been a while. I'm back. So, I feel like I should give you an update of what's been going on. It's been a while since I did my last video, and I'll be honest with you, it's literally been about 3 or 4 months since I've touched any of these 3D printers. It's been that kind of time lately. Let me unravel this a little bit here and share what's going on in the personal life of Paul. I won't get too personal. Like I said, obviously we want to keep some sort of buffer between me and the real world, but essentially last March I lost my job of 5 years. I had done research for a research lab and did 3D printing, and you guys may have seen those videos where involved with a large-scale 3D printing, and then I managed the small-scale 3D print lab. And like a lot of research jobs, sometimes the funding runs out, and in this case, the funding ran out. They were running out of things for me to do, and we had to part ways. And that was too bad because I really enjoyed that position. That was really the first job I've had that my hobby became my full-time job. And it was interesting because in some regards, it's a lot of fun, and then in some regards, it kind of takes the fun out of your hobby too. But I had an enjoyable 5 years there, and before people start wondering if it's related to the Donald Trump or Elon Musk, Doge, or stuff like that, nothing to do with that. A lot of these positions in research are soft money positions. Either a government or some agency will fund it for so many years, and then usually at the end of 5 years, they'll say, okay, well, we've got what we need. We're going to go into something else now. So that's what happened. So good news is, saw the writing on the wall for this one, began applying for other positions at the university campus that I happen to work at, and when I got let go, I was in the interview process for another position. So I was unemployed, technically, for 3.5 weeks, I think it was. And I did kind of land on my feet with this new position, working for an advanced manufacturing center. And now, instead of dealing with 3D printers, I'm dealing with advanced robotics. So it's something new to me. I'm surrounded by some really, really intelligent people. And, you know, being the new guy, you have all that new guy anxiety that goes with it. So, you know, it's been quite an adjustment because, you know, I'm not a 20-something, I'm not a 30-something, and I'm not a 40-something. And I'll stop there. So suffice to say, when I was expecting a midlife crisis, I'm expecting, do I buy the Harley or do I buy the Corvette? You know, those are the kind of midlife crises that I was kind of hoping for. It wasn't a situation where I go from a position that pays this much to a position that pays significantly less, and you're learning a new role all over again. So it's been kind of a wild ride. And as such, you know, you go through the anxiety, and I hate to say depression, but you just, you know, especially when you're in the process of being laid off from that previous position, you see the writing on the wall, it can really put the mental hurt on you too. So it's been a period of adjustment, and I share that with you because when I started my new position, I inquired about, hey, we're coming up on summertime, you know, I would love to use some of my vacation time because I had banked a lot of paid time off and I wanted to use it. And they said, well, if you want to use that paid time off, these are the 2 weeks I would shoot for. And it wasn't a lot of lead time, but I jumped on it. So in this video, I'm going to share not only that, yes, I've taken a little bit of a hiatus from 3D printing because I'm kind of in a funk. You know, I've been, you know, even right now in the 3D printing world, it seems like it's a little bit of a blah right now. There's really no new 3D printers that are really wowing the world. You know, the new Bamboo Lab printer came out, and yeah, it has dual nozzles, but it's really not that much bigger, and everyone seemed to be bracing themselves for a bigger printer, and all we're seeing is kind of a rehash of stuff we already have. So we're kind of in that nothing is really exciting that I've seen so far. So but anyway, as far as my own 3D printing stuff, usually the things that I 3D print are for projects and stuff like that, and I just haven't had the wherewithal to do those things. So I say that to say that I decided that it was time to do a vacation, and usually my vacations have been staycations. Usually I would have a week or two off, and I would fill that with events for R2-D2. I have an R2-D2 replica, and usually I do, for example, this is a minor league baseball team in Portland Sea Dogs. I would usually do that event, but that's in August. But usually I would fill up that, the vacation time with some fun stuff. I would contact the hospital and say, hey, I'm available, R2's available, would you like some patient visits with our two. There's a couple of pre-K and daycare centers that I visited in the past that love it when I'm available. So usually that's what I do. But this time around, I said, you know what? The last time I did any kind of travel outside of the United States, and I mean outside the United States, was like in 1998. I had some friends in Australia, and they said, if you have some time off, let us know. You should come down here, and we'll give you the grand tour. Not the tourist thing, but we will take you on a grand tour of this area and things that tourists usually don't see. And I did that, and I loved it. It was 3 weeks, and it was fantastic. But again, that was in 1998. Now, one of the places I've been fascinated by, because I have friends and relatives that are married to people from the Philippines, and I have friends that have visited there. You know, they've met their wives. I've got friends that came from the Philippines and they landed jobs over here, a lot of them in the medical world. And when they shared with me, you know, their values and their culture and stuff like that, the Philippines has always had a sweet spot for me. So when I had this opportunity to, hey, let's go on a trip, I've got friends over there that I would love to spend time with. And I'm not going to talk about love interest because who knows how this video is going to play back 3 years from now. I always keep all the relationship stuff private, but there was obviously someone very interesting I wanted to go meet, and there was a really great time. So anyway, I'm going to share with you a little bit about my adventure to the Philippines, what it took to get there, what I did, and yeah, wow. So this is quite the intro. So let me pause right here and say hello. Welcome to my channel. My name is Paul, and my channel is Where Nerdy is Cool. And it's usually all about 3D printing stuff and reviews and filament and stuff like that. But sometimes we go off the rails and talk about other fun stuff like this. Okay, so I mentioned I went to the Philippines. So there's a couple of things here, and I'll try to blurt this out in some sort of cohesive order here, because when you decide you're going to go, obviously you want to find a hotel, you want to find the flight. I already had my passport and stuff like that. But there were a few things that really didn't pop up on my radar. And I've enjoyed watching the YouTube videos of other people that either have retired to the Philippines or are frequent travelers. The Filipina P is someone I enjoy following. She's always sharing all the ins and outs of what to do and not to do as Westerners in the Philippines. Very entertaining girl. If you haven't seen her, definitely check her out. But so one of the things I learned early on is that when it comes to doing travel and reservations, I hate doing it, because if something screws up along the way, you know, you need to have your phone, you need to have internet, you know, to change everything around. So I went through AAA, and what's interesting is that found a flight, and most of the flights, I'm up here in the Northeast, so they originate either out of Boston or New York City or what have you. But the first flight was going to go from where I live to Philadelphia, and then from Philadelphia it'd go all the way to Qatar with a 10-hour stopover, and then from Qatar it goes to I believe we landed in Cebu, and then where I went, Davao City, is the southernmost city and really, really beautiful city. So you're talking a very, very long trip. So when you figure in all across, it's you know, you got, you know, this flight for this many hours, 10-hour layover. It takes a long time to get over there, and it is a 12-hour time difference too. So that's kind of fun. But anyway, had AAA figure all that out. I went looking through hotels and trying to find what would be a great place to stay. I didn't want to inconvenience my friends. I didn't want to stay at their places. I didn't know, and I just relied on Booking.com and Google reviews and stuff like that. And here's the thing: the U.S. dollar, $1 US is about 58 Philippine pesos. So your money goes really, really far over there. I found 2 or 3 4-star hotels, and the one that kind of edged them out was the Acacia. And wonderful hotel, 4-star, and I believe I paid $87 a night. And so I sent that to my AAA agent and said, look, this looks really good. I'd like a second set of eyes to look at this. What do you think? And so the hotel part at least was a slam dunk. We knew we had a good hotel, and we both agreed the reviews were great. Okay, sounds great, right? So the other thing, I had put a message out to my doctor saying, hey, I'm going to be going to a tropical environment, and what do I need to worry about as far as shots? Because a couple of things I was thinking about was, I know they have, is it dengue fever or something like that? I never say it right. but I also understood that malaria is a real thing, and there might be some other shots I need to have boosters on. And my doctor's office was great getting back to me saying, well, as a matter of fact, you have a lot of stuff you need to get caught up on. So if you have a local city immunization office, I happen to, they can actually come up with an entire report. And what they did is they got a travel report here on the Philippines saying exactly, what's going around, what to watch out for. And this isn't one of those things where you just walk in there, you get a couple shots and a little pep talk and you're done. I was there for 1-2 hours where she was going through everything here, telling me exactly, look, if you get this, this is your treatment. If you get this, this is your treatment. If you get this. So in my case, I was really fortunate because I only had to get 4 shots, and I had to get typhoid, which was one that she could do there. And then she could have charged me a lot of money for the other shots, but she was really cool because she said, look, your insurance will pay for a lot of these shots. So why don't you call Walmart or Walgreens and we'll find out about getting the rest. So we called them up and we took care of the rest. It turns out that it was interesting because I've been in the military. I've had all these shots and jabs in the past, but it turned out that I needed to have measles, hepatitis A, hepatitis B, and as I mentioned, the typhoid as well too. So at the office, I got this beautiful pep talk. I got all this information. They wrote me a script for the anti-malaria medication, and they said, look, when you get there, just start taking this. And then they give you, I think, 14 days worth after you return because you can still have it and it can still incubate in you, I guess. So you got to keep on taking this medication this full duration. So I left with a script for that. The big thing over there as well too is you can't drink the water, and they also warn you like, hey, if you're getting bottled water over there, don't get ice because you don't know if the ice is from filtered or good sources. So one of the things they counseled was make sure you bring Imodium because if you happen to drink the water and it starts causing issues, Imodium is your first line of defense. If that is not working, they send you with a prescription for, I can't remember which antibiotic, but so they give you that as well too. So that was neat. It was nice to get that whole pep talk as far as, this is what you got to do. Here's what you got to plan for. Here's what you have to be aware for. Here are some of the symptoms. Again, I'm staying right in the city. I wasn't really planning on being out in the jungles or whatever, but again, we were ready for anything. The shots were kind of fun. The typhoid shot I got in this arm, and at first it really didn't bother me. And it wasn't until I was driving to the Walmart to get the other 3 shots. And I think when I was pulling into a parking space, I'm like, ooh, kind of feeling this. So went into Walmart and got the other 3 shots. And that morning when I woke up, between this jab and these 3 jabs, I was plus whatever is floating around my system. I was not having a great day, but I got that done. So that's one part of the puzzle. The other thing, obviously, is you want to stay up to date with the U.S. State Department. And you can sign up for their program and they'll send you notifications to let you know what's going on, if there are any alerts or things like that. So that's another wise thing you want to do is register on that. I'm drawing a blank on exactly what it's called right now because, of course, I got the camera in front of me and I'm going, huh? But so yeah, that was one part of it as well too. So we had that figured out. We had travel plans. We had hotels sorted out. I also did travel insurance. Again, through AAA, I did that. And because you always hear about these cases where people go on some sort of trip or an adventure, they get injured, and they wind up, the hospital either won't treat them or they have to do like a medical evacuation. I mean, you see these all the time on GoFundMe and stuff like that. I think one of my friends got injured on a trail in Italy, and just due to the expense or not having medical insurance, or I guess they wouldn't do things without certain cash up front or whatever, it turned into a medical evacuation of some sort. So did not want to fall in that situation. So I had that, and just in case I needed it. So, okay, so I got everything ready to go. I got airline tickets. I'm all set. I'm all excited. My friends were excited to see me. And then the Iran-Israel thing happens. And I get a text alert saying that my flight has been canceled, the one that was going to be having a stopover in Qatar, because Iran shot 8 missiles into Qatar. They closed the airspace, I guess, for 24, 36 hours, and that was just going to cause a huge backlog. So that flight was immediately canceled. And again, hats off to the folks at AAA because got them on the phone. They said, yeah, we got the same alert you did. So now, instead of going from the USA, over Europe to, the Mideast and such like that, now we're going the other way. So what we wound up doing is my new flight, I left here from Maine to New York City, and the flight went direct from New York City up to Canada, all the way up to Alaska. Of course, on a paper map, it looks like a great big, of course, on the globe, it's more of a straight shot. But yeah, so the flight took that kind of arc and then just flew south, went over Japan and lands in Manila. And the stopover in Manila was only 4 hours, and then the 2-hour flight from Manila to Davao City. So that was the new flight, and that's how it worked out. So you might be wondering why Davao City, why not Manila? I've got friends that are from those areas, and they're probably going to be watching this video, so I don't want to talk smack about their city. But Davao City is where my friends are, and that's where I wanted to go. I had watched a lot of videos about that area, and it's huge, and there's a lot of culture there, and there's a lot of neat things to do, and that's kind of why I picked it. Security-wise, it's very good. It's a very safe city. I can tell you that from the minute I arrived there, there is a very strong military and police presence. I never felt unsafe, and so that's a little bit about the city and why I went there, because it's where my friends were. But what else was I going to say about this? So the entire flight over, so one of the great regrets is you always do these trips and say, I'll never fly economy again. But when you realize your economy seat cost $1,800 and business or first class would have been $9,000, your brain says, there's no way I'm spending 4 times as much. But when you're in the back of that airplane and you have little to no leg room, just want to show you the amazing comfort we have here as we crammed in here. Very well timed, but nice view. And the seat cushions are just, I don't know what they do with these airlines. I even brought a neck pillow. I was prepared to sleep. I had my tablet. I downloaded a bunch of episodes of Stranger Things. And even the guy next to me was like, I don't know what it is about this chair, but my ass is killing me. I said, yeah, I know. It's totally killing my glutes too. So, and I saw all these things, when I was doing all my research and getting ready for travel. My Instagram and my Facebook was full of ads, bulletproof luggage, all these inflatable things you could sit on, for the flight. You just think this is crazy. You don't need that. But let me tell you, when I was sitting there wondering, how in the hell am I going to stretch my freaking sore butt on this 16-hour flight, all I could think of was that, maybe that 1995 inflatable cushion would have been well worth it after all. But the flights were good. I had a good time. One of the regrets I have is that as a pilot, I love to sit by the window. But I will tell you, if you're going to be an international traveler sitting there for that long a time, the power is the ability to sit in the aisle, because you can get up whenever you want. You don't have to, excuse me, can I wake you up? Can I get through? That kind of thing. Other thing that was really cool about the flight, this was Air Philippines. They do feed you. I'm just so used to jumping on these, short flights, to, New York or Texas or Florida, or whatever. They don't feed you. And they might throw you some oyster crackers and some flat coffee or whatever. But no, I mean, there were like 3 meals on this thing. So that worked out really good. So didn't have any issues with food there. Again, the biggest thing was just that, wow, you're in the air for a really, really long time. And yeah, it's a long flight. Okay, didn't mean to ramble there a little bit. So when I finally got to my destination, and again, I've been flying all day, I expected the airplane to be freezing, and it was cold, so I was kind of glad that I had worn, I had a polo shirt like this, and I wore jeans. And I can tell you that when we arrived in Manila, and you're just walking outside the airplane into the terminal area, wow, I mean, you could, even before you hit the air-conditioned part of the building, you could just feel that humidity. The average temperatures that I saw, and again, I went just after their summer, And they don't have the four seasons like we do. I mean, they just go from, summer to rainy season kind of thing, and then back. But the average temperatures that I saw when I was there, pretty much every day was, and I'm converting this to Fahrenheit. I'm sorry, friends, was basically 87 and 92 every day, and the humidity averaged between 85 and 92%. Now, again, I live up here in Maine, and when we get days where it's going to be high 80s and the humidity is going to be in the 60s, we have all these warnings about, don't overexert yourself, make sure you hydrate. If you have asthma, be careful. If you have allergies, be careful. And I'm just like, wow. I mean, so, and I do have allergies. I have mild asthma that bugs me every now and then, but I brought all my stuff just in case. But it was really something. I was like, wow. I mean, that's a lot of humidity. And the fun part was when I got to Manila, again, that big layover, I had people approaching me, and I'm not making this up. I have photos to back it up, but the Philippines is real fussy about posting photos of people without consent, so I try not to do this. But I literally had 7 or 8 people come up to me and ask, "Are you an American actor?" And literally one person actually told me, she's like, "I just took your picture. I sent it to my daughter, and she thinks you look just like the gentleman from the Avengers movie, the guy who's the SHIELD representative." And I can't think of who that actor is. And I'm not seeing it, but I wasn't sure how to respond to this. I'm like, okay, you took my picture, you sent it to someone, and you think I'm an American actor. That's funny. And that's fine. I just chuckled and laughed it off, and I said, no, I'm sorry. I am not an American actor. And then the lady next to her said the same thing. "I thought for sure you look like you're an American actor." And I mean, I don't know, maybe this is some sort of hidden joke among the Philippines to say, hey, let's call him an American actor. I don't think so. But this happened repeatedly. In many places where I went, people thought I was an American actor, and I would tease and I would say, "Oh, yes, I am." But no, it was interesting. So that was my little funny haha story of the Manila airport. From there, we flew south to Davao City. And I mean, when you're flying over there, it's just all you see is this jungle. And you're just thinking to yourself, if we go down, they will never find us. But just beautiful area. Got to Davao, and the interesting thing is, if you're an international traveler, just the whole process of, you try to have all these apps. The Philippine government gives you some apps to fill out, so you're all set to go as far as, your visit and things like that. But I still, when I got there, they wanted to go through my bags and things like this, which I expected, that's fine. But it took a little while to get out of that airport. And when I did get out, my friends were on the other side of the terminal, so we eventually connected. But as I was walking towards them, I'm just like, wow. I mean, the humidity was just so dense. I almost felt like if I turned around, I could see a path in humidity where I just walked. So the weather thing was really quite something. And it's also a big city, so you have that pollution index as well too. So for those of you that are from southern climates, maybe from Florida or Dallas or Texas, Dallas is Texas, other areas, you're probably used to it. But, if you're a guy like me from the Northeast and, we break a sweat at 71 degrees, whew, it was quite an adjustment. Okay, so let's talk about money, because we have this exchange rate. And that was one of the things I went back and forth on. My cousin, his wife is from the Philippines. My best friend, his wife is from the Philippines. And I have another close friend of mine. She's from there, and she's a nurse. And so I just asked all three of them. I said, hey, look, what's the best way to do this? Should I be, carrying cash? And then, ask the hotel front desk, where's the best place to cash it in? How much should I cash in? Or should I just do card? Should I just do my bank card or my credit card? So what I did, and again, this is just what personally worked for me. I brought about 2,000 cash with me. And my biggest concern, and I know my parents' concern as well, was, you just worried about pickpockets and stuff like that. So you just want to make sure that, you're not carrying a lot of cash. And, I know a lot of people will do like fanny packs or stuff like that. But just in general, I just made sure I wasn't, carrying a lot. The front desk had recommended at the mall, there was a giant store that has the ability to do exchange. They're kind of like a Walmart. So what I did, knowing I was going to be there for 10 days, I just took the $1,000 cash and cashed that in. And at the time, I think it was 57 pesos. So yeah, so I mean, that was, so basically I had 57,000 pesos. The room had a safe, so I was able to lock myself up. And anytime I was going to be out and about, I would just carry a small amount. Uh, I did also notice that for meals and stuff like that, I could use my, this is not this is not advertising, but Capital One was a credit card I happen to have. And a lot of places, you know, when you do the charge, it'll ask you, do you want US dollars or pesos? I chose pesos. It's let Capital One sort the best exchange rate for it. That was the advice I had received from my friends and family. But anyway, long story short, I did not wind up having to use that other $1,000 cash for a trip of this duration. Matter of fact, I had quite a bit left over. So the things that struck me as amazing in the Philippines is just that how inexpensive things were, especially like food and stuff like that. When I went down with my friends and we went out to eat and stuff like that, usually there was generally 4 or 5 or 6 of us, and you know, I didn't mind treating. I mean, I think most of the time when we went to a lot of these restaurants to feed 4 or 5 of us, I think the bill came out to like less than 2,000 pesos, so you're not talking a whole lot of money right there. The other thing that struck me as fascinating in a city like this is that, you know, I'm staying at this 4-star hotel, and you know, in the morning you can sit there and have breakfast and just watch traffic go by. And you're watching these beautiful SUVs go by, you're seeing these Jeepies go by with just people totally crammed in there. You got people, you know, in these, you know, tiny little vans. It's just, it's very, I don't want to use the word heartbreaking, but it's very obvious that there's a, you know, there's a whole different level of wealth going on over there. And I didn't hear anyone complaining about it. You know, they're really hard workers, but just as an observer, as an American to the, you know, seeing the Philippines, it was just really quite something, because we would drive through parts of the city and boy, I mean, you just see people on trikes, you would see, you know, what you see. I don't know. I guess the best thing I could say is that I've had friends of mine go to the Bahamas or Bermuda or other places where in the front they see all the mansions and these beautiful things, and then when they go on other parts of the island, they see the stark poverty, you know, of the situation of how most of the people live over there. So, and that's what I saw in the Philippines. I saw a lot of these, you know, steel shacks and things of this sort, things of this sort as far as their homes. A lot of them very open. I didn't see a lot with windows and such like that. So when you hear on the news where they have hurricanes or typhoons and such like that, or they have these floods, and you hear about these vast amounts of people being displaced or, you know, killed or injured, I totally get it. I mean, I can just see how most of these structures, if it's a really strong storm, just don't stand a chance. But again, it was just interesting to see that from my perspective. So in addition to playing tourist, one of the things that we had planned to do, and I'm trying to remember the name of it here. Oh, the Enchanted River. Okay, yeah, that's where she wanted to go. She had suggested that we go to see the Enchanted River, and that was a 6-hour drive from Davao City to get there. And then it was cool because what you can find, especially on Facebook, you can find a lot of tours. And so the girls found this tour, and I think it was 22,000 pesos. Maybe it was a little bit more than that. But essentially, you have a brand new van, you have a driver, and I believe we had 2 tour guides. And essentially, it's a 6-hour drive to get there, and they stop along the way to a couple places. You know, you can break for breakfast, break for lunch, and such, and get over there and enjoy the Enchanted River and check that out. And then we stayed at a rest house, and honest to God, it was something out of National Lampoons. I mean, you know, if you remember the campsites and such like that, it was a far cry from the 4-star hotel I'd spent time at. But it was fine. We were just so tired and exhausted. The food wasn't the best, but we were just exhausted, so it was amazing. And of course, if you're in the Philippines, you're going to hear karaoke, and they did lots of karaoke. and they insisted and asked me and said, hey, you should do karaoke too. And I tried to assure them that you would wish for a quick death. I cannot carry a tune in a wheelbarrow. So yeah, no, you do not want me to sing. So I was happy to pass the microphone to the girls and to the other people there to do their thing. But super entertaining. It's just amazing how much of that I hear everywhere. The other thing that was neat is, in the hotel you don't hear it, but at this rest house, of course, at 6 in the morning, you hear the roosters going crazy. And if you're familiar with the Philippines and you have friends that live in the Philippines, you're just used to hearing those kind of birds in the background. So it kind of struck me as funny. The second day, after our stay at the rest house, we jumped on the banana boat, and those were amazing. And we took those out to they call them the UFO Islands, I think they are, because just the way that they look, and just the way that, the sand's been pulled away, they look like little UFOs. And what was interesting is each of these islands, you have vendors already set up. They have got, fresh seafood, or they've got, t-shirts or sodas and such like this, and they're all set up. So it was kind of fun, even in the tropical paradise of the Philippines, you go to these remote islands, and there's your vendors all set up to sell stuff to you, which was great. Obviously, me being as pasty white as I am, I was doing the SPF 50. I was reapplying it every hour on the hour because I just did not want to burn. It was hot. It was very hot. But I did well. I did okay. I didn't have too many issues. I just made sure to hydrate. And I bought a lot of the hydration packets. You can put the powder inside your water bottle. And that worked out well for me. I stayed away from the sodas and such like that as much as I could. I just went in the water. And we also did, they had the giant UFO boat. I think we call it an inner tube over here. And they had that being pulled by the jet ski, and it's neat because it's got a little hinge in the middle, so as that thing is going, the whole thing is just totally spinning. So it was fun. Everyone is screaming their brains out because they're pulling 5 or 6 G's here spinning around. We also did, they have what was a big long inflatable, kind of like a banana boat, and they pulled that along, and that was pretty fun. And of course, at the very end, he decided to pull a hard turn and dump all of us off of it. And that, unfortunately, was what killed my GoPro. GoPros are supposed to be fine in water. It only went in the water about 2 feet, but maybe because of the salinity, I don't know. The SD card was salvageable, fortunately, but that camera is toast. The other thing that I thought was fascinating is they have a lot of these malls, and in the Philippines, they don't have like we have with Amazon and others where, you go online, order it, and it shows up the next day. I know a lot of them use Shein, and they get stuff through couriers and such like that, but I mean, the mall that was near the hotel was a 3-story mall, and it just reminds me of the malls we had in America in the 80s. It was just, I was just really struck because, I'm going in there and I'm like, wow, I mean, this is like a blast from the past for me. I mean, this is, Krispy Kreme is over here. You have Starbucks over here. You have this, you have that. And as I mentioned earlier, and I'll kind of allude to it again, just getting in the mall, you have to go through security. When we traveled to that trip to the Enchanted River, there were a lot of military checkpoints, and there was soldiers there with M16s and such, and I don't know what the climate is down there as far as why they have this strong military presence, but it's definitely. I never felt unsafe. Like I said, there were police everywhere. It wasn't like burdensome. It wasn't like they were like always there and checking on us. But it was just in the mall. A lot of the stores, especially the jewelry stores and others, would have a security person sitting right there. So. So if you're thinking about doing a trip like this to the Philippines and Davao City especially, or other areas, and you've heard stories or you're worried about security and safety, I can tell you that I was just really, really impressed at how safe everything was. I never felt threatened or stuff like that. If anything, it was kind of funny because everywhere I went, I was the only white guy, and so definitely a different feeling. I'd walk into a store and I could just, people would stop and look at me, and I'd just be like, wow. And just the way it was. It was funny to meet a lot of my friends. They had a lot of questions to me about America. It was interesting. A lot of them were asking me questions about, what were my thoughts on Donald Trump and such like this. And I really didn't want to get into politics or whatever, but I think for them, it's very difficult for someone from the Philippines to come to the United States. And, it's a really long process for them. And the general gist of the questions and conversations I had is that they were pleased that Donald Trump was cleaning up the immigration mess that we've had, because I think from the opinion I got from a lot of people is they didn't feel it was fair that all these people got to come in free and they're following the rules going through this very arduous, visa process. So, but I didn't want to go there with them. I just wanted to have fun, and if they wanted to share their opinion with me, that's cool. But I generally, live and let live kind of thing. Loved it. I hated to go home. I had a great time. The people I was with were wonderful. The person of interest, again, I'm not going to share a lot because I want to respect her privacy and mine. But no, had a really, really great time. The time went too quickly, and I'm definitely looking forward to getting back down there as soon as I can. As soon as I can take time off from work and do that. But it's a really beautiful place, and sometimes you visit some place and you kind of check it out and you go to a couple places, and then you tell yourself, the next time I go, I want to go to this place, and other places as well too. So that's where I'm at. The other fun thing is, I know a lot of people retire there, or they're called expats. They'll move there. And I can certainly see the appeal of it. I can certainly see where your money goes really, really far over there. But on the other hand, we have a lot of nice conveniences here in the United States as far as healthcare and things of this nature. And there are different cultures, and there are some pros and cons as far as living there versus living here. Over here, it's much more expensive. Our taxation, blah blah blah. Over there, your money goes really really far. But again, as I mentioned, foreigners can't own property. And some other things. There's some various, fees and other things. There's a very active Reddit group called Expats, as well as a bunch of others. If you're interested in learning those things, or of course, YouTube is full of channels where people talk about, one day they love the Philippines, the next day, oh, they just passed this law, they're a bunch of idiots, and I'm sure they think the same thing of the United States, and I'm sure other countries have this kind of back and forth, But really, really enjoyed the people. I just thought it was hilarious that people thought I was an American actor. I just, over here I'm just a middle-aged white guy. Over there, they were just like, "Wow, what movies have you been in?" Cracks me up. But anyway, so this is a little bit different video than usual. Like I said, I'm just sharing my adventures of the Philippines, and again, I'm looking forward to the comment section to hear what you guys think. I'm sure there's going to be all kinds of wisecracks that I haven't already heard from my friends. Why did you go to the Philippines? Did you bring back a wife? Did you bring back multiple wives? Whatever. No. I went over and hung out with my friends, and we had a great time, and spent some really quality time with a person of interest. And yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back over there in the very near future. So this is my YouTube channel. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. As I mentioned, I'm looking forward to see what the comment section has for me. If you enjoy videos like this, like I said, become a subscriber, give me a like. I'd really appreciate that. And of course, there are links down below for affiliates that offer really good discounts. And of course, they also help the channel out. If you want to see what I'm up to, I also have my social media links. I'm on X/Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and of course here on YouTube. So that's it for this time. Thank you for watching, and please, 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 print safe.